My Isekai Life episode 3. I'm sorry if a little bit quieter than usual, but it is morning when I'm recording this, so yeah, I'm going to be a little bit quieter than usual. And sorry if you hear any animals or any noise in the background, but yeah, the place where I live, there's usually a lot of stuff happening in the background. But yeah, getting straight into the episode. So this third episode of the anime of My Isekai Life, at first, when watching it, I thought it was going to be pretty straightforward. What I mean by this is I thought it was going to be, the first half at least, it was going to be your typical episode where your main protagonist, the overpowered protagonist in this case, goes into adventure, defeats a couple of monsters, knows and learns a little bit more about his powers and about the world. But in reality, I mean, it was, but only into the first half, because the second half literally changed everything of the dynamic that was until that point. Like I said, a pretty bizarre and mix of interesting stuff happening in this episode, which made it interesting and good in my opinion. I mean, it wasn't really a bad episode or anything like that. It was a good, enjoyable episode. It's definitely a transition episode into the fourth episode, which I think the fourth or fifth is going to be a little bit more important than this one at least. So yeah, the first half is basically him just going into an adventure and defeating I think it was the Earth Dragon. Well, basically the mission was to investigate the Earth Dragon, not necessarily defeat him. But yeah, I mean, as usual, the Earth Dragon attacks the party and they defeat it. I mean, Yuuji defeats the Earth Dragon. Another demonstration that he is overpowered. We get a little bit of flashback of him to basically training or making the exam, taking the exam into being an adventurer. And we see at first that he is really surprised or misguided that he might be weak in his own opinion, but in reality it's all the opposite. He is overpowered. He learns at the end of the training session, of the exam, if you can call it like that, that he is actually overpowered. So yeah, I mean, he is basically doubting himself. He may be too weak or maybe not good enough to be an adventurer. But like I said already, at the end of the episode, that one that was making him take the exam explained that it's all the opposite, that it's actually he's too overpowered, and this is going to play a big role in the fourth and I suppose fifth and so on episodes, because now he's going to have a little bit more, how you can call it, a little bit more confidence in himself that he is actually an overpowered person. Because this happens a lot in animes, that the main protagonist, although he is overpowered, he doubts himself a lot. And I guess in this anime this is not going to be the case, at least going forward, because I mean, I think he recognized now that he is actually an overpowered person. We also learned in the second part of the episode that he was summoned in order to defeat apparently this specific monster. So yeah, I mean, there was a ritual and they summoned him to defeat the monster, and I mean, he is overpowered, so I think he will actually defeat the monster. I don't know if there are going to be lives that will be lost in the fighting of the dragon, because it does hint, our main protagonist Yuuji hints that there could be lives lost at the battle. But I don't know if this anime is that dark in order to let a lot of people die. I don't think the main protagonist, the main people of the anime, Lisa, Tina, and I don't know, somebody else, will die, to be honest. But I don't know, maybe a couple of background characters. And yeah, I mean, the second part of the episode basically focused on how he was summoned, on talking about the dragon, on how powerful the dragon is, and how he grows apparently larger as it gets darker or something like that. I mean, it's a pretty interesting concept. The blue dragon, if I'm not mistaken, is called. Apparently it's going to be a party in order to defeat him. The whole town or city is going to go in order to defeat this dragon. Also, it is pretty interesting to see that the levels of danger are categorized by certain words. For example, there's catastrophic level, there is a legend level, which apparently this blue dragon is. This blue dragon attacked years ago and basically was defeated by a somewhat a mission of divine god that was summoned or something like that, and invasionary or invasionary, some word like that. And yeah, it came back, or I don't know if it's the same dragon or something else. I think it is the same dragon, but apparently it was defeated, so it came back. And when the blue moon, I think it is a full bright, this dragon will appear, and it will cause a whole continent to basically go away in a couple of 3 days. Not necessarily go away, but more be destroyed in 3 days. So yeah, I mean, I don't, of course that is not going to happen unless there is a big plot twist, but I mean, it will be defeated in the next episode or next couple of episodes, depending on how fast the pacing is. So yeah, I mean, that is pretty much the episode. A quick review on my general thoughts. Not a bad, not a good episode, your normal episode with a little bit of background story of the main protagonist Yuuji, of the main enemy at this point, which is the dragon. Pretty interesting to see that there hasn't been any person or human that has been an enemy until this point. I mean, in the first episode we got technically a human villain, a person villain, but I mean, he wasn't anything of a threat or anything like that. So yeah, I mean, the big threats until this point have been creatures, for example, the earth dragon, the blue dragon. And yeah, I don't know if in the future of the anime we'll actually see a human or human-like villains. So yeah, I mean, pretty quick review. I don't know if those are my thoughts on the episode, and I guess I'll see you on the 4th episode review of the anime.